Welcome back to our virtual lessons, and today we're talking about teenagers and cannabis. You can go to page 269 of Growing into Old Age, and so let's start. Well, I believe that there is no need to introducing this type of drug that is cannabis. Cannabis is the most popular among young age young adults and all over the world. So cannabis. What is cannabis? If we follow in your book, what is cannabis? It says cannabis is made from the leaves of the hemp plant. Hemp. Well, you can have a look here. Hemp plant, canapa. Yeah, so it's a plant, and it is used to provoke some sort of effect. So we're talking again as drugs. We are in the realm of recreational drugs. However, cannabis can be used also for medical purpose. Before going through what happens to our body, let's have another idea about cannabis effects. Well, there are many names that you can give to cannabis. You can call it weed, dope, grass, joint, THC, reefer, Mary Jane. And here you can say we can find some well, marijuana, obviously. Ganja is something also Italian. They call it mal, hash, dope, we said already, bush, and hydro. Well, cannabis, we can say, is derived from the plant Cannabis sativa. Okay, well, the effect is that make us high. What does it mean to make us high? It means that the smoking cannabis is getting such a interaction with our body. Do you remember we always say that drugs can affect our brain activity and interact with the nervous system, and we have some consequences. Well, then is the main ingredient, active ingredient of cannabis that is interacting with our brain cells is what is called a THC. That is the short name, the acronym for, I will try to read it, I'm not sure if I can do it correctly, but it's delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. All right, so that's the ingredient which is interacting with our body and makes us feel differently than usual. All right, so cannabis can be reproduced in three main forms. Is the herb that is also usually known as marijuana, and resin, that is the hashish, and cannabis oil, so ash oil. There are three types. All right, then, okay, so let's go back to your book, and that is not this one, it's this one. Let's keep it reading loud what it is written on your book. So what happens to your body if you take cannabis? Well, your book says there are 400 different chemicals, and there are many different effects. Some people feel relaxed, some feel sick, and some become anxious or paranoid. And on the top of that, you could also feel the same throughout the entire night, for example, or having different experience in one night, for example, one day, whatever, whenever you take it. What are the long-term effects? New medical research shows that teenagers who use cannabis can have serious mental problems when they are older. So this is a kind of new researches. More than one research has linked adult depression with the use of heavy use of cannabis in younger age. It can make asthma worse and can cause a lung cancer. Well, this one obviously is relating not just because of the cannabis per se, but the way you smoke cannabis, that usually is with the added of tobacco. So obviously there is the two situation of tobacco and cannabis added that might lead to lung cancer, that's for sure. Okay, let's have some facts here, myth and facts. Here you can find this website in hatsapps/default/files/NIDA10-INS1_ and this very long, well, it's very difficult. Well, if you go Google and write heads up marijuana facts, I'm sure you're gonna find it pretty easily. All right, facts. Okay, let's have a look here. Addiction. Can you become addicted to marijuana? Well, we will see. Academic fail. If you smoke a lot of marijuana, are you going to be a loser into brackets? Well, academic and athletic and car accident. If you smoke, can you drive? And toxic gases. Well, do you get intoxicated by smoking marijuana? Well, most of the people have different opinions, and we will try to stick with the facts. And we skip a little bit on this one. If you have the occasion to read through, go for it. But the scientific fact here, I would like to underline the first: marijuana is addictive. Of course, we talk already different times that is different thing having, abusing of heroin or marijuana, two different things, but also the way we intake is different. Heroin directly into our veins, intraveins, obviously as a most the fastest effect, and obviously we can become addictive sooner. Let's take it off. We will become addicted. So, and marijuana is different because you smoke, usually you smoke it, or you can eat also, but whatever we're gonna see later. But on the long run, we're talking about on the long run, marijuana as well can become addictive. The ingredient we said already is the THC, so it's very, very addictive. Again, it depends from person to person. Okay, for some people, they might take one entire life and nothing is gonna happen. Some other, they can have side effects really, really short after a short period of using the drug. So let's say you may surprise to know that 1 in 11 adults who use marijuana become addicted. So you might say, oh, it's not a lot, but still there is statistics saying that there are people. So you don't know if you're gonna end up in the one that adult or in the other 10 adults. So, well, it can be bring addiction. Okay. But look at the what is getting more interesting is not just in in 11 adults, is that, and the sooner you start, the higher the risk to become addicted. So 1 in 6 people who start in their teens will become addicted. So that's the difference. Okay. We already told them many times that during adolescence, the brain is not formed yet. Still, you have to wait around 25, 26 years old to be completed. So, therefore, obviously, whenever you intake, and we're talking about whatever, not just drugs, even the type of food you're gonna pick is gonna interact with your brain, is gonna form and shape your brain development. So that's for sure. Okay, I would like to skip immediately to another one that is here. Body's response to marijuana. Here as well, you can find it in Googling it. teensdrugabuse.gov. You can just read Google Mind Matters marijuana, and you will find this PDF. Well, let's have a look a little bit. What is marijuana? We said already. Because people that think, we said already that is from hemp, so it's a plant. And people, they say, well, it's a plant that it's natural, it's bio. Well, the fact is that the chemicals that interact with other body are the ones that are affecting us. So it's not as good as we could think. Let's have a look at a bit of here, some statistic in 2018 daily marijuana use. So we're talking about a daily use of marijuana, yeah? For each grade, we're talking about a grade of education. So you guys are on the 12th grade, you're on the 13th grade, we're talking about here 17, 18 years old, and going backward. So as the first, the youngest in 8th grade, so starting with the terza media, prima superiore. So here we go. If there is a relatively low percentage, 0.7%, by the time high school is over, there will be 5.8% of people that have that is using on a daily basis, not just tried once, on a daily basis. How do people use marijuana? Well, I give you to you to read through. You can stop the video and read through if you want to. It's really nice to read, so have a look, and you can discover what is a vaping device. Having said so, let's go to the effects in the brain. So how marijuana works. How does marijuana work? Well, we said already that it's interacting with brain activity, so it changes how the brain works. And the brain cells, the neurons that are affected are the ones that control the body coordination, the memory, and the judgment. So what does it mean? Body coordination, you think you're doing things very fast, but actually you're really slow. And you think you can being able to have a good sense of judgment, but actually you are not taking into consideration all the elements that can give you the critical thinking. So short-term effects, you lose the coordination, you have a slower reaction. Pay attention, you do not realize that, not always. You might think you're really actually fast, proactive, and a really kind of smart guy, but you don't realize that is not the case. And you have an altered sense of time, that's for sure. You don't realize time passing. Also because of this slowing down. You're feeling certain and relaxed, and on the other side, you might start to feel anxious and start to fearing people, distrusting, or in worst case scenario, going into panic. What is called in Italian avere la scimmia. Okay, so that's the downside of it. You can experience an increased sense of hunger. You want to drink and eat, and the heartbeat is fastening. Okay, long-term effect, and this is on a short time. Long-term effect, problems with memory and learning skills. You start to tend to forget things. We studied already a lot of conditions that they affect the memory. It's really important to be aware that everything that we going to change in our brain perception and in the brain development might affect areas of our brain. So one of which is constantly coming up in our discussion. Yeah, it's the memory. Problem with breathing, of course, because everything is inhaled, and cough and lung sickness. Well, that's the consequence, and severe nausea and vomiting for certain people. Again, here as well, the source saying, yeah, can you become addicted? Yes. The fact is not the addiction we know already. Addiction is when you can't do without. You really feel bad if you don't take it. You really want it a bit more, right? You start to feel uncomfortable if you don't have your usual intake. Okay. Here we go. And the very last one I wanted is where is it? It's driving under the influence. That's another scientific fact. Because of this slow movement and reaction that we experience, driving is really, really not suitable if you have smoked a joint. That's for sure, because the skills that you are required to have, you really need to have when driving, is speed, alertness. You must be concentrate. You must have a lot of coordination, and the judgment skills they must be really activated, and the reaction time. If how many times, if you guys have already a driving license, your right traffic light is turning into yellow, and you have to react pretty quickly, do a stop, do a go faster, and it's a matter of fraction of seconds. The fact of having smoked, those fractions of seconds, they might become a little bit longer, and that is where the possibility to have a car accident, they increase exponentially. So definitely it's dangerous. Okay, it's very dangerous, shouldn't be done. Cool. Let's keep going with your book. Why do many teenagers take cannabis? Well, that's the answer you could provide, because you are more teenagers than definitely I am. So we could discuss later when we're coming back to class, and have a very open-minded discussion about that. We're not here to judge who's taking or not taking or whatever it is, but actually having an idea why do we do certain things. Is that for boredom? Is that for excitement? Is that for feeling appreciated by the group? Which are exactly the main causes, the main input for us to try? We studied that peer experience and peer pressure during adolescence is very important. So is that a real motivation, or there is something else? We can talk about that. Cool. Last but not least, is that true that 40% of teenagers have taken cannabis? Well, according to your book, yes. It sounds like a high number that includes more boys than girls, but there are not many problem users. What does it mean, problem users? It means that if you have tried once, it doesn't mean that you are an addicted, yeah? And but it can be counted as those ones who have in the 40%. So let's say that almost half of the teenagers have tried. It doesn't mean that all of them might become addicted, and it doesn't mean that they are all drug addicted on the top of that. So what are the British schools doing to stop pupils taking drugs? In Kent, southeast England, schools introduced drug testing for school pupils. Here in Italy, we know we have not so strict rules, but it can happen in some schools that some poliziotti can come with l'unità cinofila, and definitely we can have some sort of control, but that's it's not really kind of a protocol. So that's the one of the way. Another way that has been recently introduced is to talk about that, as we're doing today. But today is just to learn English, actually. Okay. What happens if police find you with cannabis? In UK, cannabis is illegal. Do you remember the the different classes? Cannabis is within the class C, so it's not the most dangerous. However, still you can face some charges. Okay, if you are under 18, especially in UK, it doesn't matter if you are underage. The police will arrest you. If you're caught with cannabis in school, you are automatically suspended and you may be expelled. All right, well, that's it for now, and after I will read you the Team 2 story, but that's another story. Bye!